In our classroom for this week, lesson 4, I've placed some work. Now, some people were away last week and therefore haven't done lesson 3's gathering of research, so on, but just be for you to copy up on that. You complete the exit quiz, which I asked you to do for homework. I've put some comments in for people who've completed the work from last week. Lesson 4 today has a presentation, a spreadsheet, and then a final Google form. So if I go to this presentation opens and it's got a number of slides going through some functions and formulae, which I'm going to describe to you now. In essence, you go into spreadsheets. So we've got some data here. Well, let's say we've got some data for the students, and I'll just finish off with Kelly there. She sold 18 coupons. Okay, so whatever they're running, these students here have got a number of coupons that they've sold or collected, whatever it happens to be, and I want to do some tallying up of how many they've done. Okay, I'm just going to widen this column out. You can carry on, make sure you do all the things. These should be taken as read now, that you just do the formatting regardless and make things stand out and just make things look a little bit more presentable. Certainly if you're going to present this to an audience, then I want the spreadsheets to be formatted. Maybe with numbers, we'll align, just get yourself used to the interface that you're working with there as well, all right? So put the numbers down there. But in essence, what I want to now do is some mathematics. So I'm going to do, first of all, total. Then I'm going to work out the average. I'm going to work out the largest. And I'm going to work out the smallest. Right? Just scroll up my page just a little bit so that you can see. Right, so the smallest. And maybe there's some others I'll work out. Now recall, if I've got two numbers, 4 and 5, if I want to multiply those together, I use an equal sign, click on the cell F5, then I do multiplication, and then I do G5. Either click on it or type it out and it will calculate it. If I change that value to 3, it recalculates the answer, okay, because the formula is entered F5 times G5, so it always does that. Rather than me typing in the answer 15 now, and then when this number changes to, let's say, 23, well, what's 23 times 5? Well, it's certainly not 15. And this is why we're using formulae, because it continually recalculates answers. So it works out 115. So now I can do far more complicated calculations, 23 times 25, knowing that that is recalculated correctly. Okay, so that was using formulas last week. All right, so formulas. We're now going to be using some built-in functions. Now, functions are built-in programs that will perform a mathematical operation or calculation, okay? So a formula was I generated it myself, equals something times something, or equals G3 plus F3. This week I'm going to use a function. Now for total, and the reason I haven't used the function name here, I wanted to type it out, equals, some of you have seen this before, it's called equals sum. And if I open brackets, so it's equals sum, and then highlight all those cells, close brackets, and now if you look closely, it says equals sum D5 to D10. What it means, the first cell is D5, the last cell is D10. When I press enter, it gives me the answer as 138. It's suggesting that autofill. Don't use that today because I don't want the sum function all the way down there, so I'm going to click on that. So it gives me the answer 138, which I would say, all right, well, I'll assume it's right, but I could just change that. I'm just going to change that value to 20. I'm going to change that one to 40. I'll change that one to 10. I'll change that to 30, that one to 10, and that one to 20. Now it comes to 130. They're much easier to add up. Add them up, check it comes to the right answer. Yes, it does. And so I'm quite happy. I'm now going to just use undo, 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 or Control Z on the keyboard to undo those, and I'm back with the same numbers, and I know that that's right. Okay, So just a reminder, although you can repeat the video, equals sum, open brackets, highlight. Now what happens if I don't open the brackets? Oh, it's doing this. So equals sum. And I don't open the brackets and I try and highlight the cells and it's going to give me hash name. It doesn't know what, it's an error it is. It doesn't know the range you want to add. What happens if I just type sum, open brackets? Now this time, because I haven't used the equal sign, it hasn't a clue what I'm doing. I'm now starting to delete data. So make sure it always starts with equals sum. And if you accidentally make a mistake, don't worry about it. Just click off it. And then, oh, there's hash error. That looks terrible. Just delete it and we can start again. So equals sum, open brackets, highlight. Now in the presentation, it says to you that you have got sum, count A, max and min. So here's the explanation. It explains the sum function. It explains each of them in turn and then asks you to apply them to the spreadsheet, which is also on the classroom page, which is this slides here, and it's also along the bottom. You've got two tabs. This first tab, which asks you to do sum, max and min, and you've also got you remember that we did the ingredients. Now I'll just go back to my, and I'm going to do equals average, although it doesn't ask you to do that. Average is also a well-known or well-used function. Close brackets, always close your brackets at the end. So if you open your brackets, you must close them. Equals max, open brackets, highlight the cells, close the brackets, and then finish off with the smallest is min, M-I-N. Open brackets, formula. Now I'm going to press enter and I haven't closed the bracket. And Google Sheets is a little annoying here because it actually does it for me. If I go there now, it's closed the brackets, which I dislike because it doesn't teach you to close brackets properly. So if I do that, press enter, there's no error, but it should be telling me there that, listen, you've missed out a bracket. It's important that you include the brackets, make sure they're in the right place, because certainly if I'm going to start doing times by maybe another cell, well, I could be getting a bit of an error in here. So make sure, please, that you enter. So if I multiply by that, that's fine, it comes to that. But if you miss the bracket out, you're going to get errors. And Google Sheets can't then cater for that. So make sure you put the brackets in the right place. So equals min and close brackets. It's only one key. Press enter and don't use autofill. The final one was count A. Now count equals count. First of all, there's a function called count which counts all the numbers. That's fine. So if we close brackets there, it'll tell me that there are 6 of them. Let's just change the smallest so we don't get the same number. Let's change the smallest to 3. There we are. So the smallest is now 3, the largest 45, average is 22.5. Well, you can work that out if you want, 135 divided by 6. Or change the numbers to a nice rounded number. Let's change Harry to now. Oh, well, we'll come back to our testing in a second. Count is 6. However, if I miss one of the numbers out, let's say Harry didn't do any sales whatsoever, minimum is now 12 and count is now 5. It's only counted 5 numbers, although there are 6 people. And this is why we're going to use the count A function instead of count. Count counts numbers. Count A counts words or text. So if I count that now, of course there's no numbers in there, but it's counting how many people there are. There are 6. All right. And what I could very quickly do here is an average test. Oh. So what I'm going to say is equals the total divided by, you may have a maths teacher covering you today, so make sure that you know how to work out the average, is the total divided by the number of people there are. So let's go and have a look. And it says 22. Oh, why is it doing that? Problem is it's not including Harry. So let's put Harry in 0, and you'll now see that the average is now 22, whereas the average function, if it's blank, it's assuming now there are only 5 people in there. So sometimes it's not so great to use the average function, because what are the average sales for these salespeople? Well, Ali hasn't done very well, but because I haven't entered his value, it still doesn't include him. Well, that's a little unfair, that is. So unfortunately, Harry, you're now going to be included. But look, average test is the same. Or let's put Harry back to what he was, 3. Average 22.5, 22.5. My test works well.